Well, you should feel, I hope you feel extremely proud that you led the team on a brilliant product, Kristina. And I know it's an extremely busy week for you at the moment. So, my goodness, so I'm really glad that we managed to grab you for 30 minutes. For those on the call that aren't aware, why don't you tell us, if you don't mind, a little bit about your role? And I'm really keen to understand what keeps you motivated and committed at the moment.
Yeah, well, thank you, Andrew. So yeah, I am, as Andrew said, I'm head of content at Discovery, and I've been with Discovery for a really long time now. And coming to what motivates me, so I have the privilege really of looking after our sort of product range for primary schools. And what really motivates me is, I'm going to come back to what Diane said, and I know that Joel, you mentioned it, Mark, you mentioned it, Olive and Chris as well. I just love that expression, the gift of curiosity. I think that's what we're really trying to give children. We're trying to find ways of keeping learning interesting for them, to make it relevant and about them, and to really connect the curriculum for children to understand why they're learning about something and why they should know about it and why they should want to know more, really. And I think as providers of digital resources, we have a really great opportunity to bring experience to children that they may not otherwise have, and to, in a way, hopefully level the playing field a little bit in terms of giving equal opportunity. Not all children can go to museums, not all children can travel, not all children can go to the beach, to the ocean, to visit cities around the world, so countries around the world. But through digital medium, we can try our very best to bring those resources into the classroom, and also help teachers use those resources in flexible ways so that they can direct the learning and make those resources adaptable and accessible to the children, whatever their circumstances and backgrounds are.
Absolutely, and I know that's something that you're extremely committed to. During the lockdown, it's been really lovely, I have to say, to see your children on screen in meetings and things, and I've been in the same situation, so I know you're hugely committed to this aim to broaden horizons and so forth.
It really is. I want to say, this is obviously something I miss a little bit now that we're all working from home, but back during the time when we work in the office, and which we'll hopefully soon do again, just that feeling of having my team around me, and we're researching different projects, different topics of the curriculum that we want to put resources in, and just hearing somebody turning around and say, "Did you know this? Did you actually know? And have you seen this image? Isn't it amazing?" And just that sort of spark of interest from my colleagues in areas of the curriculum. And that's what I'm really hoping that the resources then can bring to the children as well.
You're absolutely right. It's a privilege, that, and it's why it's so aptly named Discovery Education, that we're in the marvelous position to be discovering new stuff all the time and having those little mini moments of revelation, I suppose. And I think that comes through in our I was going to say in our products, let me say it. So, well, you led the team in the creation of this health and relationships. What are your broad aims for the program? What in a nutshell is it really about for you?
Well, I think in a nutshell, the program itself and the curriculum, I would say in itself, is really just about preparing children for the experiences of adult life. It's about helping them grow up, right? To help them understand their own feelings, to make good decisions, right decision, and to treat others respectfully, to treat others without judgment as they grow up. And again, I'm going to come back to that, what Diane mentioned, well, what I would call resilience really earlier, right? About just being able to deal with whatever happens to you, the changes that you come across, and also negativity that you come across, and to be able to actually have the strength and the understanding and the experience or the knowledge of where to seek help in how to deal with that, and how to help others deal with it when you see somebody being in a situation that's not good for them. So I think that's in a nutshell really what the program is about. Then, of course, how to deal with that is another subject. We knew that for teachers, we wanted to really support teachers in delivering this curriculum, and by giving them the confidence that they could find resources that they knew were really appropriate. So we had a team to write the product, which really very experienced. I'll come back and talk to that a little bit later. But to put together resources that would really facilitate this in the classroom, so that children would be able to discuss and explore and learn the skills that they need. Because I think this area is really, it's about knowledge and it's about skills. So those skills are really important, about sort of how to keep yourself happy, how to act, and how to be respectful, how to be inclusive. I think it's one thing to know, right? We can teach all children to say that discrimination is wrong, you should treat each other equally, etc. But what does that actually mean, and how do you do that? Yeah. So that's something that I think that takes practice, right? That takes discussion, that takes exploration in the classroom. So what we wanted to do was really to provide the environment and the resources that would facilitate that in the classroom. So what do you do if you are discriminated against? How do you stop that? What do you, if somebody else is discriminated against, how can you help them? A question that we come back to a lot in the resources, I think, in the program is, what would you do if this happened? What would you do? What would you say to this person? How would you help them? How would you feel? How do you think they are feeling? So that constant exploration of these feelings to really help children develop the practical skills, not just the sort of general understanding that they should, you know, be respectful, but what does respectful look like? And being able to continuously practice that in an age-appropriate manner, and also recognizing their own boundaries and their own sort of what makes them happy, and knowing how to then communicate that with others, and knowing that they have the right to communicate that and to say stop, to say no, and to say this doesn't feel right to me, for instance. And I think, again, that's something that you can't just say that that people should be doing, but it's something that you need confidence and you need practice in actually doing in real life.
Brilliant. And I just think that,
sorry, I was just going to say, we're talking about inclusion as well, right? So we know that if you want to change attitudes, if you want to stop discrimination, inclusion is vital to that, right? So building the program itself was really important, that it was visual, that we had represented children, that we have children included from all backgrounds, all walks of life, so that children can experience that. Joel, I think, mentioned something about, you know, that there are lots, and I know that this is a conversation we had with many teachers before, that although we see our society is very diverse and we want to make sure that we reflect that and we celebrate that in our program, there are also many parts of the country, smaller places, where children might never have come across families that are really different to them, whether that's in sort of social status, whatever you want to call that, or sort of ethnic background, or for that matter, children who've never seen a same-sex couple, for instance, never have experienced a child who's got, you know, same-sex parents, etc. So we want to make sure that, you know, how can we make sure that these children also are aware and sort of learn how to, you know, respect and understand what actually the whole makeup of our society.
I think that ties in beautifully with what Diane so eloquently said at the beginning. I think it was a call to action that as teachers, you know, we can empower students to take some control, if you like, and to feel empowered. And one of the things I love about this program is that it's delivered by children for children, isn't it? And that in itself is quite empowering, to see children on screen, isn't it? Rather than an adult talking at you, or down to you even, you know. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the design and the shape of it, because it's quite unique in the way you've put it together.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it was written by, we put together this fantastic team of authors, really, who all have great experience from the classroom, from sort of teacher training, and from helping schools establish their RSHE provision, I would say. And what they could really bring, I think, in their knowledge was really understanding what works in the classroom, and great experience in what questions do children normally pose, what problems may there be, and what are they curious about? Again, coming back to the curiosity, what are they wondering about, you know? And so that we could write our resources around that. So there are a lot of hands-on resources, everything based around children exploring, discussing, and sharing. But again, there it comes back to being child-led. So there's 6 topics. They come back every year. So from year 1 to 6, you will go through this topic year by year in an age-appropriate manner. And each topic for each year group has a film in it. And all of these films are with children, about children, right? So we're hearing the experience of children, we're hearing their thoughts, you know, their we'll see lots of different children talking about their responsibilities at home, their family, what their families are like, what they think that love is, what it was like to go through changes in your life, for instance, what, you know, children who are passionate about circumstances, children who've gone through bullying, all things. So it's all about children learning from each other and having a discussion based on that.
And I think one of the wonderful things about this, seeing the children, and certainly I know this as a teacher, former teacher myself, that the younger children in this program particularly, they don't see necessarily the differences that perhaps in adulthood we grow to see, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? So their answers are so beautifully open and inclusive because they don't see those differences. Do you know what I mean? We catch them before they grow it. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you coming back to, we keep talking about that film, right, with the stereotypes.
Oh, it's so funny
because you really see that it's so great when children are just looking at this sort of picture of a man and a woman and imagining who they might be, what their likes and dislikes are. And yes, some of it is really sort of steeped in stereotype, right? You know, oh, she might be looking after a baby, he's probably a man, etc. But then it's just also the most like random, you know, the completely off the wall and sort of different, and really, attitudes as well, or ideas that really go against what any adult ever would have said, you know. And the way the children, they talk about their families as well, it's just, or define love, you know, it's just,
well, they sort of
really
tell them,
I think.
Again, it's something that Diane said, they kind of tell their own stories, really. I love that. And they you can't get that wrong because it's your voice, it's what matters to you, you know. So
exactly.
Space, I think the program is all about space for them to say. So I know you're a parent yourself, if you don't mind me sharing that, and so the involvement and the concerns of parents and carers has always been really important to you, hasn't it, in the discussions we've had? And I know that there can be some sensitive moments there where teachers are justifiably concerned that they may find themselves in a situation where they're not in conflict with, but they have anxious parents who want to know, you know, and may, I don't know, they might have read some newspaper and got an exaggerated or inaccurate picture of what RSE is actually about. And so there's a lot of nervousness. So tell us about how you put together some advice, some guidance and resources to help schools build trust and confidence with their parents, because it's an important thing. It's the elephant in the room, you can't ignore it.
No, absolutely. I think from the beginning there were quite a lot of voices that were heard, I think, from the parent community about this curriculum, and not just from sort of religious groups, right? I think from parents across the board, really, about sort of feeling that perhaps many areas are better dealt with at home than in school, etc. But I think a lot of that is based on certain misconceptions about what the curriculum guidance actually does. So we were aware of that from the start, and we wanted to really help schools handle that, because we felt this could be like a massive, time-consuming and difficult things for schools to do. So we'd rather help them to not sort of get bogged down into this conversation, but really sort of be proactive. And with the guidance itself, we know it says also that parents and schools need to work together on this. So we've put together very extensive information about the common areas that parents often have concerns about, and what the curriculum actually says, how that's dealt with in the program, how it's delivered through the program, and ways to potentially respond to those concerns to make sure that they don't, that parents get the right understanding of what children will actually learn. And along with that, presentations, so that you can have parents' evenings for either as a whole school or for each year group, and letters you can send out to each year group to really explain and go through the content, so that they know exactly what children will be learning in terms of the content of the lessons, the vocabulary that you will be using, because it is really important. And I'd say that as a parent too, that you want to know, in this area in particular, I want to know what my children are learning. I want to know what's being discussed at school, you know, what are they going to come across, so that I can ask questions about that, because it is an area where parents are, I think, the main educators it's really, really important, I think, that schools deal with this, but the parents really are really play an important part here. So we want that, I want that collaboration between my children's school and us as a community and as parents, so we can talk about that. Because if I want my children to be able to ask me questions about it, and I want to be able to ask them questions, so for me to understand what they're learning in school,
what they're learning.
And what their friends are asking about, what kind of discussions are coming up in school. It's really, you know, it really helps you as a parent as well understand the kind of conversations that children are having outside of that learning as well.
And it's a spiral curriculum where you've got your 6 core topics, but you're revisiting them so you can ensure that the content is age appropriate at each year. And that's so, because you can't unhear or unsee something once you've seen or heard it. So it's age, you're very keen on that progression, weren't you, to make it age appropriate?
Yeah. I mean, it's really important, obviously, that you learn things when you are ready.
When you're ready.
For instance, when you're ready, when you understand it. So for instance, if you talk about families and relationships, for instance, or romantic relationships, that very early on in year 1, we just start looking at what is a family. If we have wonderful film with sort of year 1 children sitting and sharing and talking about who's in their family and having drawn pictures of them, and it's just beautiful. And you talk about what does a family mean? What's a healthy family relationship? What characterizes a healthy family? Essentially, the love, support, respect, etc. And then as you go older, you might look at sort of what kind of different types of families. Not everybody's got a mum and a dad, but we're looking at different makeups of families, etc. And then as children, perhaps towards year 5 and year 6, you're looking at it more in terms of why do people decide to start a family? Why do 2 people feel that they want to be together in what we refer to as a committed relationship, for instance? But of course, it's really important that you go through those steps in the right order, and that you talk about it when children are ready to actually understand the feelings around those issues.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, and that's something that I know you work really hard on with those experts who are in good positions to be able to advise you on that one. And that's one of the things that I think we're most proud of, that it's just this lovely progression at the right age and the right stage, so that you're not dealing with something that you're not ready for. Well, why did perhaps in the last few minutes, I'm really keen to know some of your favourite parts of health and relationships. I mean, it's, you know, which bits have given you the biggest smile, most satisfaction in the last couple of years of putting it together?
Well, I mean, I love all the films in it, of course. I love the films. There's so many fantastic films in there. It's amazing to work with. Our 2 young presenters, Archie and Elise, who just do a brilliant job of talking about their own experiences, visiting children in school and all of that. To all the contributors, you got Nicholas, who was bullied at school because of his appearance, and he's talking about how he's dealt with that. We have a boy called Jacob, who is a swimmer. He's got a physical disability, but he's sort of competitive swimmer who's doing very well, and he's talking about the kind of obstacles that he's overcome to do that. We've got a girl, Olivia, who's trying to get more girls to play football in school, to have more schools allowing girls to play team football, etc. So all these great examples of just kids sharing their experiences. But I would come back also just to the activities that are in there. Diana, we talked about children feeling proud, you know, with all of this, our way of having representation, right? Inclusiveness is about, yes, you're seen, you're recognized, and hopefully you will learn to feel pride in who you are and where you come from, as you said. And I think there's one activity, just as an example, I think it's a year 1, it's one of the first activities that you will come across in the program. And it's called, I think, The Most Special Person in the World, or something like this, right? And it's an activity based on, you're making a shoebox. The teacher makes a shoebox and explains to children that inside this shoebox is a picture of the most special person in the world. And of course, there's a mirror in there, so the children will look into the box and they will see a picture of themselves. So
that's sweet. That's lovely.
Yeah, I just think I think it illustrates a little bit of what the program is about, of just building that sort of confidence and knowledge that we are all valued, we're all unique and special.
And one of them, I know we talked earlier, was around caring, that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I thought I would actually show one little video, and this is. I picked one that's a little bit different, but I think it shows again about how everybody contribute in a community, how we are all valuable, how we all have something to contribute, to teach each other, and how we all help each other to be better. Essentially, so I'm going to share that. And let me just, I hope you can see this.
Yeah, certainly can.
This is a film about caring in the community and caring for one another that I wanted to show you.
Please do.
My grandparents have always been a big part of my life, and we see each other a lot. But that isn't the case for everyone. Sometimes busy lives means older adults and children can't see as much of each other as they would like to. So at this school, they've been inviting older adults who might be feeling lonely or isolated to a special group they call DIG, Downs Hall Intergenerational Group. It's a chance for the children and older adults to spend time with each other. The sessions run 3 times a week, with up to 13 older adults coming each day. And after a quick cup of tea, activities begin.
So you want to go for green on this?
The activities are chosen to encourage the children and older adults to talk to each other.
Stick it up the side like a daffodil, you know, like the daffodils there. Yeah, we stick that on the side here.
Some of the children at this school struggle with their language skills, and spending time talking to the older adults can help. What are the good things about having the older adults play with you guys?
Well, they talk about what they used to do when they were little and what they like to do. They're usually sometimes lonely, and we give them company. They help us learn like different things that we don't know.
It's called Valula. Valula, yes.
Are you gonna make this even bigger?
Yes, give you more flowers.
For the older adults, there are lots of benefits, including interacting with the children, using their hands to get arty, and it can help with their memory too.
And my wife has Alzheimer's, and she really lights up with the children.
You're meeting all different people, different nationalities also, and I think it's great that you can mix with them. It makes you more confident.
I love seeing the children, and they get to know you. And when they first come, sometimes they're very shy, they don't want to say anything, but gradually they get to know you.
After a busy morning, it's time for lunch, and everyone is invited. So how was your lunch?
Nice, like nice chicken today.
What would you like about having lunch here? What's good about it?
I'm on my own for 5 years, so it's nice to sit with somebody. That's what I like about it. That's right.
After lunch, it's the older children's turn to spend time with the adults. It gives them a chance to learn new skills.
Give these finger and thumb, Yeah.
It's quite easy and it's really fun.
Yeah.
I'm making a blanket.
It's good. You start with, isn't it? Okay. So we have
What a fantastic day it's been. It's clear to see the older adults and the children have a special relationship that benefits both of them. Right, I'm off to my grandma's to do some arts and craft.
That's delightful. Isn't that delightful, Kristina? One of the things that Diane said at the top of this conference was how she felt that as educators we could enable children to step into other people's shoes, and that film just does that for me, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think so. I love the man who says that meeting these children of different nationalities gives him more confidence in himself. I just think it's terrific. Lovely. I just think it really illustrates when we're talking about inclusion as well, how everybody, how we need to value everybody, and everybody has something to give to each other. So that's a really good takeaway, I think, for children.
I think we've approached that word inclusion from many different angles today, and I'm really glad we have actually. It's made the conference even better. So listen, thank you so much for giving us half an hour of your extremely valuable time at the moment. I know you've got a lot of huge projects on the go at the moment. More on that in the next conference, perhaps. But thank you ever so much for sharing some of your passion as well. which has come through loud and clear. We are very, very lucky to have you lead that project. And the result, I think, is a product that we can stand behind very proudly. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a fascinating discussion to listen to. Thank you.
Thank you.